Yo, everyone.
Not yet, not yet.
Oh, yeah.
And now.
And now. What's up, everyone? And welcome to episode 8 of Core Office Hours. 8, man, time flies. We welcome you and to all of your locations all over the world, all of the languages that you speak. We're happy to have you with us, and we're excited for us to be part of this powerful community together. I am your host, Keone Chong, and I've got my co-facilitators, the lovely Mary Gribbin and the powerful Jose Caballer. As always, we invite you to like and subscribe so we can continue to bring you this incredible content. This episode is brought to you by Core, Brand Strategy Foundations. What is Core? Core Discovery is a simple way to help any brand understand, prioritize, and focus on a clear vision and a plan to help them achieve their goals. It's branding for the 21st century. So Core is really about brand alignment. It is about bringing together the essence of who you are and your culture. It is about being able to identify and prioritize your business goals. And it is about being able to understand your customers' needs, your users, your audience, your co-creators, your collaborators. If you're interested in understanding more about Core, you can check us out at our website, coresmagic.com. And it's brought to you by the Systm. So the Systm is a social learning experiment. It's tools, community, and guidance to empower the next generation of creative leaders and builders to redesign the world. And yes, we're talking about each and
every single one of you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So let's dive into the agenda and let's talk about what our goals are for today. So we're going to have our drop in for about 15 minutes. Then we're going to dive into the download, which is really about the mindset that we want for you to have as we go through today's broadcast. Then we have Core Q&A, and that's going to be the bulk of today's programming. And really what we want to do is we want to try to address any and all questions with Core, with its application, with its use cases, and we'll share some case studies in that process. Jose's got some decks that are open. Maybe Mauro can share some of the work and decks that he's working on. And then we'll end with the upload, which is what is the one thing that you could take away from today's broadcast and share with somebody else. So let's dive into our drop-in. So what we are going to do is we're going to talk about our name. We're going to talk about our location. And I would like for you guys to think about your brand 5 years from now. What would you start doing now to help your brand get to that place? So I'll start and I'll model that for you guys. My name is Keone. I'm located in Los Angeles. And when I think about the Systm 5 years from now, what would I start doing now? I would continue to do exactly what I'm doing right here. Having live broadcasts, co-creating with the audience, really being able to understand from our audience's perspective what the needs are and what their challenges are. And I'd continue to provide solutions around that space. Jose, I'd love for you to step in.
That's a really profound question. Think of your brand 5 years from now. What would you start doing right now? We're doing it, and it's sharing how we're doing it with others so that they can start doing it and we inspire each other. Alex is doing it, Papa is doing it, Patricia is doing it, Roxana is doing it. You're all broadcasting, you're all starting to do podcasts, you're all starting to do the same thing. So it's like, let's share how we are doing it and how we're making money and how we're doing all those things. And then all of us do it together. So we become the Systm, right? We're all a channel. And now to the Puppet channel, positive action, positive emotion. Wait, positive emotion. Go ahead, say it again. You're mute.
Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, that's a new T-shirt that we're gonna get. It says "You are on mute," and we just go like this.
Yeah, it's positive action, positive emotion.
I got it right.
Yeah, and yeah, in 5 years, I would say it's the same as what Jose just said. What I want is just to talk to my community of artists and illustrators, and I want to help them achieve their goals, and not through just like, because I know positivity and positive is a word that has been used a lot lately, and I think with coaching and all of that, I don't want it to be about just toxic positivity, because I know that the positive is about like how your perspective, and as you flow, you go, and the emotion that is energy and emotion is basically you working with your reality and getting the best out of it, you know? So I also want I see my brand in 5 years being really clear, as clear as it is now, as transparent, and just bigger and stronger.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And Pape, real quick, where are you calling from?
Oh, I'm calling from Paradise, Panama City, and yeah, come here.
It's on the agenda. I'd like to invite a couple other folks. Mary, would you like to step to the stage? Uh-oh, we're not hearing you. Mm-mm. Ginder has entered the chat. Any word yet, Mary? Mary, how about this? While you're figuring that out, why don't we invite someone else up to the chat? Jar Jar.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm calling from the UK, England. It's been raining today, and it snowed yesterday. So I'm feeling super cold, but inside I'm pretty inspired by all of you. So I'm feeling warm. I'm feeling loved right now. So two things. I'm a commercial trained designer, and I want to be a terrific. I want to master sort of brand strategy. That's why I'm here. At the same time, the other thing I'm doing is that art is my superpower. I want to help people with mental health issue, help them to express internally. So that's something I'm trying to learn with my friends. I'm trying to create this kind of weekly art class to help people to draw and help them to express their feeling at the same time. It's only half an hour to 40 minutes art class session, but I'm on every Saturday. So you guys, whenever you feel like you want to express, and just come join me.
Oh my God, that is so amazing. It's like art therapy. I love art therapy.
That's powerful, Jaja. Make sure you connect with me after, because I'm connected with an art therapist that's based out here in California. She runs an Instagram called Sketch Poetic, and I actually took a couple of her classes, which is about like channeling your emotion and like really, the process of self-development through art. She's a powerful creator, and I know she'd love to collaborate. So
thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing, Jaja. I'd like to invite someone else. Mary, did you get the mic stitch working? Oh no. Yeah. Check the settings. You can do Command, comma, and in it you can check your. Oh wait, there we go. I just heard you.
Oh, good. I was right there. I
There we
wanted to,
go.
but I couldn't get it working, so that's okay. I'm like super multitasking right now. Hi. Hello.
Hey. Hello.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm with you guys. Yeah. So, we're trying to, what are we doing with the system 5 years from now? I think it's like about accessibility and spreading all of our great frameworks and experience and ideas across the world, and making it really accessible for people to participate in design communities and have the support they need, to provide you and all of you with the support you need and building that community. Yeah, I see that as where we need to be 5 years from now. So,
Beautiful.
super excited.
I just thought about that this morning, that it would be really great. I was telling somebody about how we facilitate work sessions and they're just very much in flow, but we get stuff done. And we should share some of that, some of those frameworks on how we work together in flow.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, Mary.
Yeah, and to kids too, like, you know, just everyone. I mean, so many things that are on my mind about it, but I'm really, yeah, that's where I see us going.
Powerful. Thank you for that, Mary.
Sure.
I love that, Pape Arg. Cliff, I'd love to invite you to the stage, brother, if you can.
Hello, everybody.
Hey.
So I was writing in the chat here that where I'd like to see myself in 5 years. I would love to be able to help my co-creators who are diverse entrepreneurs and conscious companies occupy a larger place in our economy and culture. That's kind of part one, but part two is also being able to help co-creators tell their story better, because we've talked before about how we learn through stories, and I think it's so important for people to be able to communicate their thoughts and feelings and use that as a way to connect with others, and that's how we really foster connection and change in the world. So that's what I'm focusing on, and I hope right now that I'm able to. I would love to give myself more space for network outreach, and I'm starting to be able to do that with offloading some work. You know, being able to set some money aside to get some help, so I can focus more on outreaching, connecting, and networking with people. So, you know, all a work in progress.
Oh my God, one pattern, Keone, I'm noticing in everyone here, we're all the same person. We all want to do something. Like Adriana wants to create, empower the creatives throughout their own stories to get connected to their own body, mind, and soul. Pape, Cliff, what he just said, we're all trying to make the world better in addition to just being creative people. Alex, you know, everyone is doing it. And this question, the drop-in today, was brought to us by Roxana. Actually, she came up with the drop.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So let's do one more. I'd like somebody new. Titus, would you like to come on stage, brother?
Ready. Hi, guys. Yeah, I'm Titus. I'm talking from Canary Islands, from Tenerife, just the island in front of Alex. We are almost neighbors. Yeah, I'm originally from Peru, but I live here almost 20 years. I came for 1 week, and I have almost 20 years here. So I don't know what happened in these islands.
That's the paradise effect.
Yeah. So yeah, I see my business or my brand in 5 years. I think I will continue doing the same that I'm doing until now, improving every day. You know, learning from everybody. Like Jose, for example, I follow him since years ago, and I remember that phrase, "I make sandwiches." You know, since that time, I also learn a lot from Chris Du, and I try to apply and share with the community. And yeah, I think we are in the same path, you know, the common designers that we are. So yeah, in 5 years, I see myself doing the same. I'm improving every time. I'm making the world more beautiful with a little bit of design.
A little bit of design. I love that, man. And thank you so much for sharing, and welcome from the Canary Islands.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I want to read a couple of them that are in this chat, and then we'll move on to our Q&A. So we got Arsenije, who's in Belgrade, Serbia. And he says, when it comes to his community, DACIDA, he thinks he wants to do the same: recording, sharing, and connecting. Thank you for that. We've got Adriana Gonzalez from Mexico. And she says, when I think about my brand as a creator, I would like to co-create more with others and empower other creatives through their own stories. to get connected in their own body, mind, and soul. Super, super powerful. And then last but definitely not least, we've got Patricia. And she's in Manila, the Philippines. And when she thinks about brand manual, helping and supporting brands confidently navigate their way through challenges, hopefully impact as many lives as we can through brand strategy. I love that. So let's dive a little bit into the sermon for today. And that's really about core Q&A. And so really what we'd like to do is we really like to focus on core as a framework and how we've seen it apply and be translated in different brands. And this is the opportunity for, you guys in our audience to ask any and all questions about core. It might be a project that you're currently working on, or a project that you completed and challenges that you might have had. Or it might be that you haven't even used core yet and you're taking on a new project and you're concerned about how core may apply to the project. We're open to any and all circumstances and applications of core. And so this is the opportunity for you guys to really come to the stage and share some of your challenges and experiences in branding. So I want to open the door or open the floor for core. And maybe we can start with a few words from Jose. Jose?
Oh my God, I'm on mute. Again, a t-shirt that says I'm on mute. It's something that everybody should wear. I was noticing on the core discovery cover that I chose this image very specifically. I'm going to explain the symbols in it. From when I did my personal core, it was really clear that Latin America and that the world was really a big part of it, and how to see diverse voices and diverse points of view. So I chose this image that had a lot of representation of people of all colors and genders, etc. And then this symbol right here is the harmony and the alignment between one pod, like 5 people. So it's like, it was really bringing that together. Anyway, that was my comment to get started on the cover here.
So yeah,
questions.
Anybody have any experiences with core they'd like to discuss? Or how about this? While folks are thinking, Motto, would you like for us to continue the conversation that we were having from last week about core and the recent project that you were using it in?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Though I forgot where we left off.
So we were talking about Corvus, and you actually shared a little bit of the design deck, which actually would be really super dope for us to see. A lot of questions that we get, and so I'll talk while you bring up your deck.
And I just set sharing on it so you can share your deck.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
And you can type your questions when you think about them. Anything, you can ask anything.
Right.
You can also type them in the chat.
So what we were talking about was the challenge of translating strategy, and some folks are always like, okay, well, I've done core, I've done the strategy, what's next? How do I present it? And I had shared how I generally present it, which is you present an overview of the document and you present an overview of the experiences. Mauro and I were business partners, for those of you that don't know. And so when I learned strategy from Jose, I was adamant that Mauro, as head of our design, understood strategy so that he could translate it. And he's taken that skill and he's developed it. And now he uses it with his clients in Ensenada, one of which is Corvus, which is an incredible eyeglasses brand. So let's dive into this and let's kind of walk through it and talk through it, Jose. Mauro, sound good?
Hey, just because we're Latin and we have salt and pepper, don't get us confused, man. It's not Mauro Jose, totally different.
Look, I saw the chin and I was like, oh, wait.
Sure, whatever.
Same person. Oh my God.
Thank you, Clifford. I appreciate it.
So let's start with let's look at strategy and let's start with attributes.
Yep.
Okay.
So let me So what I'm gonna do first, before diving into the actual strategy, I want to give you a little bit of background on what Corvus is, at least how the inception of it. So Corvus comes from actually a very, very emotional place. So this business was actually inspired by the passing of the owner's son. His son, Ivan, he used to be an illustrator, and he was 15, and his passing was through a suicide, and it was something that was really, really heavy. And sorry to bring down the feeling, but
No, it's real. Keep on going.
Yeah, so this is really where it started, and so he was this incredible creative, and I've seen his drawings and his paintings, and he was this amazing person. And he lived it, right? He lived the life of an artist and illustrator, and he carried himself that way and spoke that language. And there was this disconnect between Samuel, the owner, and Ivan. So they never really understood each other until almost towards the end, where he finally understood that he was an artist and that he was completely different from him. And that's when the actual connection started to happen. And Samuel is incredibly business oriented, so he's like he's an evil business person. So when that happened, he began to really understand and he started to dive into that language and that world. And Corvus comes from the crow. Ivan used to love that bird. It was his favorite animal, and he used to draw it in. He used to sketch it in all of his illustrations and paintings, and he always spoke about the crows as this really magnificent, enigmatic sort of animals. So he also loved fashion. So he used to dress always in black, and he used to wear glasses and boots and all these kind of things. So Samuel took all of those elements and created a glasses brand. When I came in about 6 months into this business, and it was trying to be something that it wasn't. So it was very corporate. It's very cold, and there wasn't really a lot of language that we spoke to the actual stories. And he was actually making up a different story from what it really was. This is where I came into corporate, and I thought, okay, there's this amazing story that if you tell it responsibly and you tell it passionately and you tell it in a way that you can create a connection to people who are either going through the same, have been in the same position, or you really explore that enigmatic and that mysterious side of the brand and where it came from, you can really make something that is truly special and really something that's really beautiful. That's a little bit of the background of Corvus. And what I'm going to walk you through right now is just really quickly through the attributes. So this was the first. This is still the first version, second version. And I'm still working through these attributes. So when we're speaking about the culture and the type of culture that he wants to connect with, and the culture that he is trying to foster, it was something that was very simple, innovative, creative, friendly, and something high quality. His clients, he was focusing on clients who are exigentes. Jose, that be, it's not really demanding, but if they're
no, that's correct. No, they're demanding. Demanding is good. Yeah, exigentes is demanding. They require quality. They require, like, there's discerning is really the word that isn't
discerning.
Like, yeah,
that was the word. Yeah, thank you. The voice, he wanted to be very dynamic, very persuasive, and authentic. So a lot of this stuff has to be, we want the brand to really be that voice, right? We wanted to set apart from everybody who was just, anytime that the brand spoke, it felt really cold, it felt very stealthy, it didn't really create any sort of connections. The feeling we wanted to give was really to belong and to give confianza and
Trust.
an emotion, and gives a different experience. Something that was really unique about Corvus was the fact that we are unique. We come from a very unique story. We're trying to be very creative, very fashion oriented, very exclusive. And this was the outcome of this exercise. So Corvus proporciona lentes innovadores a clientes exigentes y creativos en una cultura sencilla con una voz dinámica, ayudándoles a sentirse pertenecidos y sentirse únicos.
Wow, that is an amazing brand statement.
Yeah.
The brand personality.
So motto.
Yeah.
I understood that, but for those of us in the audience that doesn't.
Oh, here, yeah, I'll translate it.
Yeah.
Corvus provides.
Sorry.
No, I'll do it. Corvus provides glasses, innovative glasses to discerning customers and creatives in a simple culture with a dynamic voice, helping them feel like they belong and feel unique. Is that right,
Yeah.
Mauro?
Yeah, that's right.
Powerful. So I think, for a lot of folks that are in the audience, and yeah, don't put away the deck yet, because we're still going to go through this.
By the way, that's an amazing looking core deck, right? When
Yeah.
people ask the question, what do you deliver? This is the answer.
Exactly. And, there's a couple things that are key to it. And one of the reasons why, I love decks, and some of the things that Mara and I learned, is that really great brand strategy isn't static, it's dynamic. It constantly grows and it constantly evolves. When Mara was opening this up, he was like, oh, is this like the first version or the second version, right? A great brand strategist is constantly taking in all of the different elements and updating the strategy, right? When you learn something new about your personas, when you learn something new about your customer, you update the persona, right? Maybe we thought they were a little bit more like Gen Z, but maybe they're more like they're more on the boomer side of things. So they're like, okay, well, let's update the age, let's update the characteristics, and let's really start to align these things. So really great presentation, Mauro. Walk us through now. So what was the next thing that you did? How were you able to take that strategy and translate it into design?
So this is the exciting part.
Okay.
So going through the brand personality, this was all just about reinforcing what I did before, right? So if Corvus was a person, it would be Dieter Rams, it would be Massimo Vignelli, it would be Steve Jobs. If it was an object, it'd be an Apple store, it'd be the New York MoMA. And then the personality, again, reinforcing what we did before, would be creative, authentic, friendly, exclusive, innovative, and dynamic. This was the part of the research. I'm gonna circle back to this. I don't want to lose the rhythm I got going. So this is the actual customer journey, and this is for every client that comes in, because I really wanted to illustrate to the owner, okay, how are we gonna be using all these different adjectives? How are we gonna be using all these different questions into something that really makes sense, and how are we gonna be connecting to everybody using this specific adjectives. So I came up with this, okay, what is the benefit that we are creating? What is the benefit to the community? And the benefit that we're creating is we're creating fashion, so moda, utilidad, and most importantly, pertenencia.
Belonging,
So belonging. So combining all of those three, we create the client life cycle. So using now, okay, this is searching. This is when a client is searching for glasses, or they're searching for something, right? When they find it,
and when they
and when
this
they
is
love
brilliant.
it.
This is brilliant.
And then
Yeah, sorry, I'm just getting so excited. Okay,
No, so
I'll stop.
now taking what I did right here above, right? This is our benefits. So when they find us, it's because they're looking for something that's fashionable or something that is very utility. When they find us, when they're looking for us, then when they find us, they find a new experience and they find a tribe. And when they love us, they become embajadores and fans. So they become like they become fans back with the word Jose. The people that carry our name, they're screaming it
So
out.
embajadores are brand ambassadors. They're
Brand
enrolled.
ambassadors.
Yeah, they're brand ambassadors. They become advocates for the brand. So you want to make people not necessarily, just customers. You want to have them say, "Oh my God, this is amazing! I want you guys to check this out."
Right. That's
Precisely. And,
like when
and
go
using
ahead.
the adjectives. This is voice. This is feeling, and this is impact or X factor. This is
It's
using
exactly
now
what the
adjective.
attribute clustering was actually built for. It's like 1, 2, 3. How do you drop some? Anyway, go ahead.
Precisely.
Keone, you were going to say something.
So no.
No. I was going to say the exact same thing that you said, which is, this is attribute clustering right here.
Yeah, hero's journey, 1, 2, 3. It's like, Robert McKee and the idea of story. There's beginning, middle, and end.
Exactly. And now this is breaking it down even further. It's now using the actual adjectives. So going through voice, feeling, and X factor. So we create, okay, what is the main adjective for the voice? So we're dynamic. Under dynamic, we're friendly, we're attentive, we're mysterious. What is the feeling that we wanna give? Is belonging. So we want them to feel exclusive. We want them to feel comfortable and creative. Then the X factor, well, we want them to feel unique. So anytime that they're wearing the glasses, anytime that they're in the store, we want them to have that feeling. We want them to feel fashionable and modern and creative. So this is one way that I did. I constructed this to illustrate how we're going to be using the actual adjectives. Now you can use this for design, for messaging, for most anything, right? If we're going to be focusing on a design that's specific to how we want them to feel, then we know what it needs to look like. We know what it needs to communicate, as well as the X factor, right? How they need to, once they love the brand and they want to spread the love and spread, message, what do we need to give them? What do we need to provide to them?
Yes, and I want to highlight it. I'm sorry to interrupt, Mauro.
No, go ahead.
I want to highlight something that Pape just brought up, and this translates later into the customer journey. That is absolutely correct. This is the impact narrative exercise.
Yeah. Mauro has an advanced degree, by the way, because he's worked with Keone, and then he worked with Jeff and I at Consensus. Meaning that the way that Mauro got to the beautiful white beard is like through the hard school of hard knocks. It's been brutal. Poor guy has suffered beyond. Like if you wanted a person that wants to become a master to suffer more, you couldn't have suffered more than Mauro. But he's here now, and he's a mother effing master.
It took me a very long time. Not that somebody can do it in a quarter of the time. It's just it took me a long time. Let's see. This were the profiles. So the profiles were a little bit different because we're focusing on an actual product, not a service or something more specific, and we're essentially trying to market to everybody, right? I decided to first focus on generations. And we said, okay, what is the Generation Z, Millennials, and Generation X? And we wanted to really illustrate the values of each one of those generations. So for Generation Z, stability, security, independence, competitive, entrepreneurial, digital native. For Millennials, it's freedom, it's collaboration, it's being tech savvy, it's highly creative, it's positive, diverse, flexible. And for Generation X, it's being positive and fun, flexible, informal, access to leadership and information. Through that, then we created the actual profiles. So going through the actual client, the ideal client and then the influencer. And each one of those is a little bit different. And walking through their story, their problems and necessities, and figuring out different solutions. This is where now, before jumping into the creative, I want to jump into the research. So this was the research that I did, trying to understand all the different brands that there exist for glasses. Now there's a ton of them, but I focused mostly on what were the main and the important ones. What was the value that they created? How they got started? A little bit of their history. So going through Ray-Ban, Gucci, they're very specific in their style, right? It's all about wealth. It's all about sophistication. Tom Ford is all about luxury. Prada, right? They use this really oversized geometric, angular silhouettes, sophisticated, classy. Persol is another one. So very different, very creative, very. I'm going through all these different brands. From there, understanding, okay, what is the takeaways that from all this research, from everything that I read, from everything that I know that these brands are doing, and the takeaway was, the original, most of these brands started by either creating a solution to a problem or by wanting to create something exclusive and fashionable. There's a lot of history and unique attributes that differentiate them. Each has a unique element, variation, or style, emphasize a creative minimal, different contexts of features. A lot of the common adjectives that you find in a lot of these glasses brands is luxury, is craftsmanship, is innovation, sophistication. So understanding that this is the main directions for these brands.
You basically did an assessment of the industry and what attributes they use. So you wanted to be able to position yourself against them, right? Or away from them a little bit differently. So to understand that the brand attributes are actually, those are the handles. I call it anchors, like we're using the wheel, like the pirate ship wheel. That's how you actually drive the brand. It's through the attributes.
It's like I see it almost like a Venn diagram. So if there are many different circles, you have these areas where these things sort of overlap, right? So it's understanding, okay, where does corpus actually fit in? Mm-hmm. This was a little exercise that I did once we created the logo. So this is, I used to have Giorgio Armani here. And what I wanted to do once I finished the new logo was, okay, how does corpus actually look in comparison to all the
does it fit? Does it look like it belongs here? And is it different enough? So you're using like now the entire board of comparison and seeing if it meets the attributes, but also how does it look against the competitors?
Yeah, and one of the things that I love about this exercise is I've actually used this in the reverse, where I've had a client, they're like, oh, our logo looks fine, our logo is great. And you're like, okay, well, let's put this logo up against, some of the premier competitors in your space. How does your logo fit? If your logo is not up to snuff, it will very, very quickly look like, ooh, you know what?
So there's something really interesting.
But we might have to do it. Well, one thing that I just said, sorry, Mauro, real quick, one insight, pay attention to this.
Yeah, go.
Next week, we're going to comment on your briefs, Pape, and this show is going to become like a sports show. It's like, Keone, what do you think on that move he did over there in the corner? It's a joke. That's all a joke. Continue, Mauro.
Yeah.
All right. So one of the things that I did here, if you notice, I have the original Corvus logo down here. Mm-hmm. And there's something very interesting about the organization here, right? So you have, in terms of exclusivity, luxury, originality, the sort of weight in the market, right? So Michael Kors, Coach, Ray-Ban, Persol, and Giorgio Armani up here. Then you have Prada, Tom Ford, Gucci, Burberry, Nike. And then you have the smaller brands, right? Like the cheaper, more accessible brands, which is Ben & Frank, Warby Parker, Zenny, Left Crafters, and Direct. I buy Direct. So one of the things that I wanted to do when I was showcasing this to the owner was the corpus fit right here. Even design-wise, it looked like everything else that was done here. So one of the big things I wanted to create was, okay, how do we differentiate ourselves from these brands up here and move it up to the top? to make it look like it's something that is established and something that has history, right? And something that really can compete with these people up here. So this was just a really quick visual exercise of like, okay, this is where.
Well, it's also interesting, like luxury brands like Tom Ford and Burberry are all redesigning to be sans serif and a little bit fatter because of the web, right? But so you managed to use a visual language, which people think that it's because it's trendy, right? But the reality is that that type of serif and that type of X height reads really well on the web. Like the fat sides with the thin top, you know, it reads really well on the web. And a lot of brands that are coming out today are DTC, they're direct to consumer. So now that becomes a lexicon of, you know, the language. And in your case, you also elevated it to the level of Ray-Ban and Purcell by having the ligature between the R and the V. So notice that he's looking at the ideas, and he's very purposefully positioning and repositioning the identity itself with precision and with a way to prove it to his client, from attribute to competitive landscape. So he's a master of the dark arts of brand strategy and translation, because it's not about like, what do I make? It's about what's the context in which I make it.
Mhm.
I just have a quick question, if I
Yeah,
may.
yeah.
I just want, just curious from process point of view. So now you have this terrific logo with other competitors' logo on the first line. Does that mean that you already done the logo identity design? What's the process? So I guess you got to do the.
What's the timing? Basically, you want to know at what point in the project did you do that? How did you show his existing logo and then go do the logo, or did you already have it in your pocket?
Yeah, that's it.
No. So this is, so when I started 6 months into the company. This logo happened just about 2 months ago.
So you were doing the deck and you were presenting the deck, but then you were adding new pages. So Jaja, he did this much later just to prove that the logo, it just happens to be in the same deck, right? Because the deck is a living document, but it wasn't at the beginning.
So
gotcha.
This brand is an agile brand. So since the very beginning, I treated it as an agile brand. So what that meant, right? The logo, this is actually a version. This is actually a version of the logo that I fixed. So the logo was a little bit different before. It was an actual sans serif.
Right.
Well, we had some serifs, but they were really square and it just did not fit. So I used a different font. I kept this with the exact same styling, and then I fixed the icon. Then I did all the branding around this specific logo, and I've been scaffolding the brand. So I've been improving it for sure, making sure that I'm positioning the brand responsibly and where it needs to be, up to the point where right now it's like, this is the place where we need to now create this new brand, and now we can go in the direction that it needs to go. So I've been just cutting the fat right from the sides, making it something very, very, very thin. And with it here, this is where I play, and this is where I'm taking the brand at hyper speed. So
you're also involved over 6-7 months with the project. This is not like just a come to the logo.
No, it's been a year and a half.
Yeah, you're a retainer client. This is the ideal client to have. Something that I will note about Mauro is that he has established himself in Ensenada, which is where he's from, and really become a pillar of the community entrepreneurially and, you know, design-wise. So for the sake of time, let's like show the cake baked and like some of the things, and we can continue showing some of these, some of the brief stuffs next week. If you guys want to come back and continue to see Mauro's amazing work. So yeah, show these real quick, or maybe the website. Well, everybody can go to the website, is lentescorvus.com. But yeah, this is just gorgeous work, Mauro.
Thank you.
All right, let's finish with that.
Okay. So, and it's now doing all the research and all the adjectives. So this is where I did the brand directions for now the new brand to this latest logo. So one of the things that I do is I try to find different narratives or different stories, different points of interest, where I can grab something that is very conceptually interesting or accurate to the brand. For example, this was all based around Hugin and Munin from Greek mythology, from the Vikings, sorry, right? And I wanted to use the adjectives of mysterious, enigmatic, and visionary. The only issue when you're using adjectives like this in a design or in a visual identity is, okay, how do I translate this into something that makes sense visually? So this is the translation for this adjectives with the contrast.
So you had a little key,
patterns,
contrast, duality, patterns, and symbols. That's beautiful. So you had a 3-part key to unlock your 3 attributes. It's really beautiful. And then the references that are really nicely laid out are really online. Contrast, duality, the up and down of the crow, the corporate high contrast photography, the black. Beautiful. I get it. It's just like if I'm a client, I'm like, got it. This makes total sense.
Yeah. So I mean, this is exactly where I come in with putting all these images together, understanding what is the opportunities that I have. So using the logo in a very specific way, using a lot of blacks and whites, right? All this contrast, the typography. Again, the typography is very similar to the final logo that I created. The direction 2, this was more focused on Nordic culture. So it's still remaining within the same area. It's just a little bit different. So now focusing on intelligence, resourceful, collaborative, elegant. We wanted to visually make it something that was very minimal, very natural, very light, going into Scandinavian design, and the opportunities would be more along the lines of colors and textures. I mean, warm colors and textures, very minimal design, strong typography, and a lot of muted colors. And you can see a lot of that stuff here, right? In the type of photography, even the angles, a lot of the grays, the overlays, the typography, how it's laid out. For the third concept, so this was all focused on the needle. So this is a crow's nest. And crow's nest actually has something very, very interesting. I didn't know this happened when I was actually researching this. A crow's nest is the structure in the upper part of the main mast of a ship, or a structure that is used as a lookout point. So this really married all the other concepts, and spoke a lot about looking at the world from a very top view. I was doing some designs last year with the glasses in the clouds, and it was exactly that. I was doing that point, right? So the photos is really looking from the top down. It's not looking from the bottom up. We really want to be able to see the horizon. So this really spoke to that, right? So using the adjectives of adaptive and social and exclusive, I wanted to go with something that was a little bit more organic, natural, and elegant. And you see the combination of the other 2 concepts through these images. So having a lot of those very dark colors, using the geocetic design as the idea of a crow's nest, have a lot of texture, having a lot of this type of photography. It's very strong photography.
So something I want to point out is that each of the different directions has a similarity that they share, right? They're not like completely over here or crazy. I do a little bit more of high contrast directions, but this is really great because he already has a narrow corridor, and then he's just showing some subtleties like, the triangular pattern, the different types of image usage. So what it gives is the option for the client to comment on which of all the things they like from these directions, but it's already heading somewhere. And more importantly, at the end of the day, whatever direction it ends up being, it's going to look great, right? So you're using it to fine tune your point of view, because your point of view is extremely sophisticated based on, and I can see some of Keone Chong in there. I can see some Jeff in the strategy. I can see all the mixes of all your influences, but I also see you as a unique creator, because I've known your style and I understand your point of view, and it's light and dark. It's high contrast because that's your personality, because you're a Gemini. So you're actually doing it in line with who you are, but also adding and mixing and remixing using core. And at the end, it just feels like, wow, it feels right because you were in it and it feels right because the client is in it, and it feels right because the research is in it, and it feels right because you're synthesizing all of it into this really sharp point.
Yeah. And, you know, I want to add to that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sorry to interrupt Motto, but
No, go ahead.
knowing Motto and knowing his design sensibilities and knowing the way that he likes to create just visual graphics, you can see like this is a brand that is in like super alignment with the way that he naturally creates, right? And for the creatives out there, I think it's really important that when you look at the brands, you can see yourself in those brands. You can see part of those elements in there. I know when Motto first met this brand and when he started to do the strategy, I already know how Motto thinks. I already know how he was like, oh, yeah, I know. And that's why he's smiling now, because he immediately saw that there was a deep resonance within the values of himself and the brand. The alignment was there, the human alignment. And this is why you see such a you know, the output being so excellent. It's because the inputs, all of the elements that came together to build this thing were in deep alignment.
Can you go to the website, Mauro? Because this is the old Instagram, but go to the main website.
This is I always like to show this example as an example of how the brand has evolved, right? So this is a lot of stuff before I came into the actual brand, and how I started to really align all the values and all the visual style through. Like, this is where I started to come in and set a lot of the design a little bit stronger and a little bit more specific. This is the graphic that I was talking about, and this is us playing around. This is us just sort of trying to find that voice, and through the strategy and getting the photography down, up to the point where I finally did the cutoff right here with all the black and white photography, and then the new design and new photos started to really emerge. Now everything is
that's beautiful. This whole thing tells the story, like how much clarity and how much sophistication just from going through this alignment process and really fine tuning. This is fidelity, right? You know, and you can see it in the narrative and the power of design. Very targeted design. So thank you for sharing, Mauro. This is amazing. I really would love questions for Mauro from everyone, you know, from Mary to Emily to Mauricio to Ponte la Corbata, if you're still here, Roxana, Titus, you know, Javier. Like, what would you ask Mauro? Or what would you want to highlight in what Mauro just showed?
And Mauro, can I jump in and ask a question real quick?
Of course.
So looking at what you've done and thinking about my journey in the past year or so with brand strategy, I think that every time I do it now, and looking at the way you were describing your presentation, I'm getting a stronger sense of that the martial arts connection to core or to brand strategy as a whole. At first, for me, it was very difficult to understand that idea of it being a martial art where you learn basic techniques and then you have to find a way to flow within core or brand strategy, or how you adapt it to your own style. So I guess my question is, how do you adapt the style? How do you figure out your style? Like, you know, you have Muay Thai and then you have the Dutch kickboxing. How have you figured out your style of brand strategy?
That's an interesting question. I'm not too sure that I have a very specific way of doing my brand strategy. I think much like Jose and Keone say, right? I take from experts, right? I take from different aspects and different exercises, and I try to mold it to, okay, what is the context of the design that I'm doing, the brand, what is the brand story about, and I try to mold it specifically to that client or to the client's needs. I think Corvus has become this really interesting brand where I have been able to put a lot of my aesthetic into it, but it's been a slow process, right? So I've been able to take a little bit from what I like, for what I know, and only because this brand actually has a lot of me in it. When I really dove deep into the story and everything that it was about, I saw a lot of myself in it. And this is what really made this brand something that was really passionate for me and for everybody else. And I was able to really bring a lot of me into it. I think there's other brands where, you know, I can remove myself completely and do something totally different, and that's when I have to really play a little bit more with, okay, what exists out there? How do I bring in different exercises that will work specifically to this to the needs of this client? What is the need to speak visually through messaging, photos, or whatever the context may be. Yeah, I don't think that there is one specific way that I can say, well, this is how I was able to do it, or this is how. You just really gotta be flexible, and you gotta be able to adapt to the needs of the client. What is the story? How to take all the different exercises and things that already exist to create something that is brand new.
Yeah, you know, and I'd love to add to that. You know, I liken core and your ability to facilitate to a sport, right? We talked about martial arts. You know, for me, like I played basketball semi-professionally, and the way that I learned was I just went out and I played and I figured out my own style, and then I went to all of the places where all the masters were playing. I was like, oh, here's the park over here where all the hoopers play, and they're like super gangstified, and they don't take shit, and they're always cussing and they're fighting, so you got to go hard. And I went over there and I played over there. Then I was like, oh, okay, here is where all of the Asian internationals players go, and they're all great jump shooters, so I went and I learned over there, right? Like, it's really about finding the people in the spaces that are masters and that have their own styles and that are powerful, and it's like learning from them, right? Mato talks about how, you know, I put so much of an emphasis on him learning design and translating design from strategy. You know, those were the things that we really focused on. Then he went and worked with Jose and Jeff, those two masters, right? Jeff was teaching him, like, I see so much of the way that he compares brand and positions brands. I see so much of his expertise in that space really coming out in the way that he put the decks, in the way that he's aligning the logos, and the way that he's doing, you know, analysis of the market. I see Jose in them, and in a little way in the way that he's structuring his decks and the way that he's presenting, you know, the strategy. We actually have to go out, meet, practice as much as we can, and learn from all the masters in our spaces. And in that, you'll find comfortability, and you'll be like, ooh, I really liked that, or I really liked that, right? Like Jose and I, we totally practice core in a very different way, right? And I'm sure
we're doing that we're doing that thing in the air. Like Keone and I can do core like just in a conversation, and we're seeing exactly and move all the attributes around and remix them. Like if it's in a heads-up display, we're at another level. It's like jazz. But because we've done it so many times that now we can actually say, oh, you know what, we should shift the customer profile a little bit. Let's tweak the age here. Okay, got it. And now we know where we're going. And we're using it all the time. It's not static. Like we didn't even do a real formal deck. So I hope right now I'm working on a better deck for the system. But like what we briefed you on the other day for Roxana, we were just like trying out a bunch of stuff. And then we know that all
core, Jose?
That's the bebop core. That's cowboy bebop core. Yeah. It's like boop, 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 bow, 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 bow. Yeah. And people are like, what's going on? We don't know. They're jamming.
It's jazz, man.
It's jazz. Yeah.
Love the comparison.
Yeah.
For Latin America and for other markets outside of the US, keep in mind that strategy in general can seem a little bit oppressive. And like, here we are, we're going to do, this is the direction we're going to do. You got to keep it like, possibilities oriented. And like, you have to keep it co-creative with your entrepreneurial clients and even with your corporate clients. Because Latin America and, Africa hasn't necessarily gone out of colonial mindset yet. And the business world in those, I know I've spoken in their MBA programs, and it's like, it's very European centric. So we are creative people. We are the misfits. We are the rebels. So we can bring this kind of like level of fun and entertainment and joy in how we work. We can ask Mauro about his relationship with the founder of Corvus, and I'm sure that they have a super loving and like, you know, brotherly relationship. And it's not like, you know, like, rah, 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 because that's how we were. That's how we do business.
Yep.
Go ahead, Mauro.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Funny thing about the relationship that I have with the owner of Codewith is that he is 100% or maybe 200% the evil business person, right? Like he thinks numbers.
The cliche. That's a. Just make sure that you're not
Yeah.
calling him evil. That it's the
that cliche. And
yeah.
But in right is his way of thinking about business and how he thinks about competition, and I'm the complete polar opposite, right? So I come and I tell him there is no competition. Like there's you're not competing against the clients from all your other competitors, right? You're on a completely different level. We are at a completely different level, and we're doing some things totally different from what every other brand is doing. So to me, there's no competitors. But yet there's this incredible synergy between us, where there's a ton of respect and understanding. Where it's like, okay, I see where he's coming from, he knows where I'm coming from, and we can both support each other to do something that is very really innovative and really new. Right, I can come up with some crazy idea, and he'll be like, okay, well, how do we fit that into this business plan? How do we make sales? How do we do this? How do we target the specific clientele? And the same thing, right? He'll call me up at 11 or 12 at night, and he's like, Mauro, I have this crazy idea. Okay, all right. Have you run core through it, right? Have you thought about the strategy? How does this fit into this specific direction? How does it fit with this market? How are we gonna do this? Does it even make sense right now? I can see it in 5 years from that right now. And it's this really crazy, really energetic relationship, which is really nice. And I try to do that with every client that I have here, right? Initially, they always have the curves. They have, well, I don't want to spend a lot of money. Well, I don't have, this time. Well, don't worry about it. Don't worry about the money. Don't worry about the time. Don't worry about it. Let's make a plan, right? Let's run through the priorities. Let's figure out what is your culture, what is your voice. Let's get this thing running with the minimal amount of initial take a runway, and let's build upon it, right? You scaffold it.
You scaffolding, yeah. There's a couple questions. Yeah, go ahead, Patricia. Ask your question.
How many were you in the team to accomplish the changes? Because you went for the rebranding, right? How many were you in the team integrating the strategy to design, and how many months was it in the process?
Can you ask one more time? I'm sorry, there was a noise. Okay.
How many were you in the team to accomplish the changes, like when you stepped in, and to integrate it from strategy to design? And what team members did you need for you to make it possible? Or what roles did you hire for?
It was just me. it was literally just me.
An army of one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for the video you hired, for the video work you hired there's other resources. Yeah, so there's people doing production for the website. You hired filmmakers and editors, all that kind of stuff.
Over the last year, so I've hired a marketer and I've hired a photographer, and they're both just incredibly talented and extremely hardworking. And I typically bet my talent really for a very long time, and I make sure that they can work with the processes that I set forward, and they can work with me as well to set the quality and the tone that I'm asking for. But it's been it takes time, and I think it takes time, more here in Mexico, because a lot of people don't understand strategy yet. People don't understand. They want to do something that just looks pretty without it understanding why should it look pretty, or how can we get to the point where it needs to look pretty and needs to look beautiful.
Jaja asked a question like, did you also hire a copywriter for this to translate the attribute clustering to, I don't know, the website, the materials, Instagram, captions, and all that?
I've been working with my marketer to do the copywriting. So I usually do the outlines, and I have my marketer do a lot of the copy or find the different copy, and also have my girlfriend that does my grammar in Spanish, because my grammar in Spanish is just terrible. So I do have help, but I don't have a dedicated copywriter at the moment. Yeah. So I really have to do a lot of things, a bit off the cuff.
Did you hire?
Well, what's awesome is that you're working with your marketer, you're working on it yourself, you're having your girlfriend help you with grammar. One thing I have to do is sometimes write copy myself for the campaigns that I'm working on, and like just figure it out if I don't have a budget. You're doing it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And guys,
has been that. Yeah, you're welcome.
So what we're going to do, we're going to move into the last question, and then we're going to start to wrap. So the last question is really about archetypes. And so Roxana asked if we use archetypes, how we use archetypes, if you used archetypes in this project. And so I'll share a little bit about my experience with archetypes. I do use archetypes, but I use archetypes to understand the personalities and give me a framework for them to understand how a persona might be thinking. But I don't use archetypes to prescribe what they are thinking or how they are thinking or, what their personalities is. I allow for the data to fulfill that and to fill that in. And it looks like Jose has a couple points. Jump in, Jose.
I was going to say, the few times that I've used them, I use the creation of an archetype, of the particular user profile. Oh, this is the explorer, they're looking for something in life, right? That's like, more on the what stage they are on with the relationship to the product, or like this is the rabid fan of the product. Use that. That's a way I do it. But then the 12 traditional archetypes in storytelling, I've used them a few times for creation of scripts. So like when you map a script of a video piece to the archetypes, like Star Wars, who's your Luke, who's your Darth Vader, who's your Jar Jar Binks, who's your Jaja Han Solo, etc. But then you cast a person to play that archetype whose name is Jim, right? But there's always that in a mythic journey, right? Like, so that's a way that I use it to kind of translate casting. You can also use what type of archetype the brand is, right? Is this an adventure explorer brand, or is this like, that's also another way to kind of couch the visual language around it. If it's an adventure explorer brand, you don't want to make, you want to make it look like that, like somehow the brand has a mascot that's like a pirate parrot. I'm making that up, but you get the point.
Yeah. So Mano, did you use archetypes in developing your personas, or you didn't need to?
Yeah, I didn't really need to. For the specific project, I think I'm trying to think if there was a specific moment when I said, okay, well, there's this person that fits this.
There is an archetype in there, and it's the artist. It's the artist and the master, like the video, the language. It's like the craftsman and like the mysterious, like, crafted in Ensenada in Mexico with the mystery of magic of the crow. Like it's an artist magician. So it's the mix of the artist, the magician, and the adventurer. Well, no, there's more of something like that, right? But so you are inadvertently using the archetypes, but you were just internally kind of coming up with them.
Exactly. It wasn't something that I really thought about meticulously.
Consciously, but it was there.
Right.
Yeah.
And, and that's something for everyone out here who's in brand strategy. You don't need to use archetypes to build out your personas. You can just build based on the needs and build a story from there. So this was super powerful, Mano. And thank you, man. Humbled that you're a brother, humbled that we endured the agency experience, and we went through the evil businessman mode together, and we survived. And most importantly, our friendship survived. And look, man, I love you, man, and I'm so excited. And every time we meet, it's always like, ooh, this idea and that idea, and look at this, and oh my gosh, look at what we did. You know, it's like two kids in a
Yeah.
toy store. But I'm just really grateful that you could share this with our audience. I'm so glad
Yeah,
the
man, my
audience got a
pleasure.
chance to experience this. Yeah, man, it really powerful and awesome. So let's talk about our dropout for today, and let's talk about the upload. We've got a few minutes left, and then we'll leave the last few minutes for just open conversation. So today's conversation, as always, is brought to you by Core's Magic.
Can you share your screen, Kenny?
Oh wait, hold on. Let's do that. And we've got screen share. We've got a portion of the screen, and we've got
Broadcasting live from the internet.
Broadcasting live. Back to the studio. So yes. And let's pull up these. There we go. So as always, today's office hours session was brought to you by Core. If you're interested, really, excited and intrigued by a lot of the work that Motto had been showcasing today, this is based on the brand strategy framework Core. You can check it out. It's coreismagic.com. If the conversations today were really exciting and you'd like to hear more from us and more about us, definitely check us out. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. We're your co-facilitators. It's myself, Keone Chong, Mary Gribbin, and Jose Caballer. Check us out on our Core Tribe. We are now actually Core Brand Strategy Foundations. I moved it from Fundamentals. And coming up soon, we'll have our Accelerator program where we'll have all of the case studies like this inside so that you guys can reference them for your own development. So I will always
Can we,
ask,
real quick, before you say goodbye, or before that, can everybody change their name to I Am Mauro? Do you just click on it? Alex Orita, you can do it too. Titus, just click under the name and it says rename. And there's a reason for that ritual, because we are all Mauro. We all have that possibility. We all want to change our communities wherever you are, whether it's in Brooklyn, in Mexico City, in the Philippines, in Marin County, in Colombia, and Serbia. Wherever you're at, you are Mauro. You're there to change your community by being a core master. Back to you in the studio, Keone.
Got it. So those that are watching the replay, like and subscribe. We want to continue bringing you incredible content like this. And, our outro is always the upload. So what I'd love to hear from you guys is one key takeaway from today's conversation that you are excited to share about. And I'll model that for you. I am just super, super excited for Motto. We started our brand development journey together. And he was a powerful creative, and I was just trying to make a name for myself in brand strategy. And here we are almost 10 years later, and he's become an incredible designer. He's worked on so many powerful projects. But most importantly is he's sharing the knowledge, and he's sharing the truth and the power. So, that was what my takeaway from today's conversation was. And that's what I'm excited to share. When I talk about my friends, I'm like, hey, yo, next Core Office Hours, man, we've got incredible shares going on, incredible case studies. We
want to see case studies. And, I just want to say this officially, and for anyone who has a question or who's watching this in the replay, Mauro Medina is a master. He is a master. So he's a master of the craft. And it's a pleasure to have seen, well, it's still going to continue. It's a pleasure to see your growth and to be a brother, like Keone said, and to continue to support your brother. So,
yeah. And Motto, post your social stuff in the chat so that people can connect with you and follow with you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, okay.
I just wanted to say I learned a lot from what Mauro presented, like how he presented a competitive landscape in such a presentable way that's very pleasing to the eyes when you present it to the client visually, and how he treated the attribute clustering and then the client. I didn't know that from the core framework you can also put your take on it in a more creative way. So I learned a lot. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah. I'd love to hear from anyone else. Anybody else that got something from about this? Jaja, you were really like piqued by the presentation.
I just found that I feel I'm more confident in a way. Now I'm actually following the way how you sort of planned out the journey, and how do you actually sync with your client in a way where you want them to buy into your ideas and your creative strategy. I think that is absolutely fantastic, and I'm so inspired by it. Thank you very much. I just need to go off and do my own thing, and hopefully, you know, I can be at your level one day. So thank you for sharing. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks everybody for their amazing comments. It's been my pleasure. I'm looking forward to sharing much more. First, this has been humbling to be here in the room with it and being able to share this, seeing how this has really affected a lot of people in a positive way. And this is, I think, amazing validation for me. And if everybody got a lot of value out of this, that makes me incredibly happy. And yeah, I want to be able to continue to do this. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your comments, Jaja. And you're on the way. You know, where Maro is, you know, and I know some of you guys are.
And how he explained it to the client, and you know how well he presented it, and I don't know, the package, the content, everything.
Yeah.
It's super tight. Yeah, let's do a Spanish version of this, Mauro, with Alex and with all the folks here. We'll do a Zoom and broadcast it live to YouTube. All right, Alex, we can even broadcast it live to yours, Alex, your YouTube.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, guys, will be great to do it in Spanish, I think. I don't know you, but I have a question. When I start to designing and put all online and that kind of things, I don't know what we usually think that we have to do it in English, because maybe we have more interesting clients or more people out there. But now I start noticing that we need to make more content in Spanish, because the people is waking up and really seeing the value about the design, about the branding, about the strategy. What do you think about that?
I can say something about it. It's just I don't know if it's coincidence or I don't believe in coincidences anymore. But I just got a comment on Instagram, you know, from someone who says that that's impossible to do in Latin America because blah 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 blah, and you know those people, I understand where they are coming from, but right now I don't try to turn them around. I don't try to convince them, because I think, Titus, what you're trying to say, and I think it's very important, we need to get this out in Spanish. We need to reach more people, and we need to show them how, you know, Mauro's work. We need to show them Jose's work, and really empower them, because this call alone was super empowering for me, and I can't imagine how empowering it can be for, you know, so many people.
Yeah, that's it. I think we should. In fact, I was thinking change all my content in Spanish. I don't know why, but the last month I feel very lazy to talk in English. I don't know why. My tongue is start to struggling, and you know, I say, I don't know what is happening with my English.
Pero lo que tienen que realizar también es que en Latinoamérica hay Pepsi Cola, hay Coca-Cola, hay Unilever, hay todas las compañías y las corporaciones están en Latinoamérica y están buscando a gente que puedan hacerle trabajo en español. Y el error de querer nada más trabajar para clientes en los Estados Unidos, porque es más dinero o lo que sea, también no es algo que por el tiempo, si uno forma una marca personal y una marca de su estudio y de su práctica de diseño en Latinoamérica, vamos a poder desarrollar a Latinoamérica y le podemos embed into it las ideas de transparency, inclusion, you know, post-colonial concepts of being that you're all familiar with because your generation, you know, embodies them. You know, every single one of your generations is understanding the culture from Instagram and from the US that's shifting, but we are not getting it fast enough in the United States. I mean, in Latin America y también en Latinoamérica, la gente más mayor, la gente mayor no están en la onda, ¿sabes? Así que ponerlas en la onda por hablar en español, I support that 100%.
Yeah.
Okay. Sí, es interesante porque hay un trasfondo cultural que yo lo he ido viviendo. Como puse hace un momento, soy generación X, entonces he vivido toda esa transición y ahora las cosas están cambiando mucho, ¿no? A eso, a cuando antes, bueno, los que venimos de Latinoamérica siempre nacimos con el chip que lo de fuera es mejor, que US es mejor.
It's the same in Spain, man. It's the same.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that the same here in Canada.
Now you live here for 20 years, you know.
Yeah,
it's the same.
Argentina
bullshit.
is the same.
Exactly.
Also,
For that reason, it's a cultural thing that I try to change in some way, you know, to show them we also have something special to offer.
And you know what's funny? In the States, they think in Europe we are so sophisticated or so special, and we're not.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
We all have this, you know, move in our heads. And no, man, just do content in Spanish, because one thing I realized is many Spanish-speaking content creators, I think they made the mistake to make awesome content in English because they think that's how they are going to reach more people, and that's not always true.
Yeah, that's the point.
It's not authentic. This is what Jose, Keone, and I talk about. It doesn't feel real.
Yeah, that's true.
Look, that's how it's in Jamaica, right? You know, and in Jamaica, you've got a lot of young creatives that are doing work, and they think that they're like trying to advertise in the American space, and I'm like,
yeah,
no need to be a Yankee boy. Right? Like, we don't need to chase America. We don't need to chase America. You have enough within your community. It's your community where the power is. Look at Motto, right? It's his community, right? That potential came from a local businessman, someone that he could connect with. They have the shared cultural values, right? That's a superpower. Leverage that.
Definitely, man. Definitely.
Alrighty, guys, 12:38. We've been here for a bit. We're gonna start to wrap this up. But para todos los, you know, mucho gusto. I'm so incredibly grateful, you know, for the diversity of culture, for the depth of conversation, and for the honesty that we're having here. We wouldn't be here without you guys. You know, that's a fact. So, you know, I had to thank you guys.
Thanks to you guys.
Thank you.
¿Algo más? Jose?
No, just put the cookies up, and like if anybody wants to drop in what they got out of today, we'll leave it open for them for a few minutes. But go home, goodbye, nos vemos, adiós, hasta la próxima, hasta luego. Ahora el after party un poquito y gracias Mauro por venir y por ayudarnos a compartir el mensaje en Latinoamérica y por ser un ejemplo para Latinoamérica, porque somos un beacon muy grande y mucha luz, y es muy bonito verlo, cómo se está desarrollando todo en México contigo. So thank you so much for that, man. I am touched.
You're welcome.
And moved.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, guys. Alrighty, y'all. Y'all take care. Have an incredible week. Have a powerful semana. Paz.